Okay, it's 12:01. Great. Okay. Welcome everyone to LocalGov Drupal Week 2025. Thank you so much for joining us. This session is LocalGov Drupal missions for 2026, which I believe is going to be mainly Will and Finn talking through, maybe some other guest speakers. Thank you for putting on the session. Before we get going, I just want to take the opportunity to thank our sponsors. So we've got 3 this year. Thank you to Anatech. They hold the current development contract for LocalGov Drupal. Agile Collective, who were the previous dev team through the alpha and beta phases and also into the first 2 years of LocalGov Drupal as a separate entity, and they hold the support and hosting contract. And Big Blue Door as well, who are currently sponsoring Mark Conroy to work on the platform. And a big thank you also to all our council and supplier subscribers and our supporting partners. Without that sort of support, we can't do these sorts of events, including the sponsorship as well. So it is invaluable to what we're able to do. If you're new to Zoom or just not that familiar with it, there's different options for how to view the meeting. At the top right, you should see view, and you can kind of toggle between different options. It should probably default to spotlighting the screen share, but you're welcome to change that to a gallery or other options. As we go, there's a chat option in the bottom. Feel free to drop questions in there. I'll be monitoring that and we'll come back to that at the end. Or if you need any help or got any questions and support. The session is being recorded. It'll go up on YouTube when I get it up on YouTube. And if you could please, for now, make sure your audio is muted. Thank you. And I'm going to hand over to Will. We'll be running the session. Hey, Will.
Hi. It's great to see so many of you here. Sometimes product stuff's a bit dry, so thank you in advance for listening to all of this. We want it to be an interactive session. There's some questions at the end, but also if you want to ask a specific question about something that I say or somebody else says, just put it in the chat, and Aaron, maybe you could look and just stop me if you think it's relevant to something I'm saying. That would be really good. I'm just gonna have to try and remember how Google Slides work. Right. Can everybody see this full screen presentation?
Yes.
Fab. So as Aaron mentioned, I'm product lead Will Calaghan. So it's great to see you all. And there will be a few people talking, not just me. So Finn is on the chat. He's technical lead for LocalGov Drupal. And Tony Barker from Anatech is our new developer joined this year. Welcome, Tony. I'll point to a few other people as we go. If I've not said who you are, maybe you could introduce yourself. That would be fab. Let's get cracking. Is this going to actually work? Yes. So we always start these sessions with just a quick look at the budget. And it's for a few reasons, I guess. This isn't letting me click through. And maybe it is now. First is because we're transparent, we're open. We want to show you how your money is being spent. We are funded by subscribers. So it's a lot of people in the room, suppliers and councils. We're really grateful to you for your support. We wouldn't be able to do this otherwise. So firstly, transparency, this is the money, this is what we're spending. Also to show that we're growing. We've gone up significantly over the last couple of years, and that's great. And I guess the third thing is to show that we're trying to spend as much as possible on development. So the blue box there is all money that goes on the screen. It's all product improvements and so on. We do need to spend money on other things like communities, events. These are important things, but we want to spend money on the product. We want to give you that value, in the community stuff we do, in the events that we run, and in the product developments that we make. So thank you to everybody who is chipping in. So 2025, I think I said a while ago, what happened? It's gone really quickly. A year ago, pretty much a year ago to the day, we talked at LocalGov Drupal Week about possible missions. And I proposed these 3, which were, and I'll talk about them in a bit more detail in a second. We figured we needed to do something about refresh. Just some of that stuff is old. We wanted to do some work on accessibility. We wanted to do some work on microsites, which a lot of you use. We also wanted to get more into encouraging contributions. There's so many good suppliers and councils out there. We want to make it easier for you. And we've got a big partnership with Netcall. We want to do more with them. So this is what we said we were going to do. It's funny how these things work out, the best plans and so on. What we did do, the things we said, although perhaps not as much as we wanted, but we also needed to look at 3 other things. A move to Drupal.org. So all our code is on GitHub. It will soon be on Drupal.org. And Finn will talk about that in a second, like why we did it, why it's important. Drupal 11 upgrade as well, like this year, which I'll also, Finn, I'll grab you in a second. You can introduce that. But we also changed our developers. We procure openly, transparently, and it was time for a re-procurement to development. And we moved from Agile to Collective. Thank you again if you're on the call. Agile Collective did a great job. We moved over to Anatech, who are doing a great job too. It was a very seamless handover, but it's work. There's work involved in doing that. So, we factored that in and we delivered that work. So, Finn, do you want to just talk about Drupal 11 now, and then Drupal.org is the next slide. I'll tick over to that when you would like.
Sure. Yeah. So I guess all those 3 are the right kind of unseen work, really, aren't they? Kind of sort of behind the scenes work, which doesn't necessarily get great visibility within the community. But the Drupal 11 upgrade specifically, there's a lot of work gone into that to fix upstream issues, to fix our code, to fix tests and coding standards, and just make everything work with Drupal 11, which has been released for a while now. But there's no super urgency for people to upgrade because it is Drupal 10 is still supported for at least another year. But just a note that keeping with Drupal core is important for lots of reasons. There's lots of improvements from Drupal 11, from like admin and editing to improvements for developers and the developer workflow, to performance and security, and various new features coming in. So it is important that we keep with the Drupal core, but it does take a bunch of work to do the upgrade, make sure that upgrades are relatively seamless, so that by the time you come to upgrade your sites, you're not hitting issues that we've known and squished and squashed and helped with. So yeah, lots of respect to Tony, Stephen, Lee Mills, various people in the community put in lots of work testing these things. Andy B from Brighton. So yeah, respect to people who have been helping with that.
Good squishing and squashing.
Squishing and squashing their bugs. That's what we want to do. So yeah, meanwhile, at the same time, moving to Drupal.org has been another large part of the work this year. Briefly, just to remind people, the motivations for moving to Drupal.org were sort of manyfold, really. But one of the main ones is just really to be tying in with the community much more, and to be making use of the Drupal.org contribution credit system. We want to encourage contribution. The Drupal Association, the Drupal.org, has done a great job over the decades that it's been around of encouraging contribution and building the community and giving credit where credit is due. So that's one of the main reasons for moving to Drupal.org. There are others too, being just involved in the community, being clearly that we're opting into the security governance on Drupal.org, making use of the Drupal.org infrastructure. So yeah, we have moved, I don't know, maybe 60 odd projects over to Drupal.org, and we're very almost about to flip the switch, maybe in the next few weeks, to move our code base so that any new installs would be coming from Drupal.org. There's lots of other lovely things on Drupal.org. So if you haven't been to Drupal.org, go to Drupal.org, have a look, make sure you've got a user account on Drupal.org, and yeah, we'll be increasingly working on Drupal.org alongside the rest of the Drupal community. Which is great for our visibility too, to promoting LocalGov Drupal to people who maybe haven't heard of it yet.
Yeah, thanks, Finn. Let's move on. Thank you to everybody who was involved in both those projects as well. We know we can't do it without you. So back to the missions that we planned. So the refresh mission was about reviewing and refreshing the oldest parts of the distribution. So some of our work, this goes back to Brighton and Croydon, so it's like 2017, 2018. And we just wanted to look at that and unpack things and make sure they're still fit for purpose. So we've delivered some things, not as much as we wanted, sadly, but we are on the case. So we've had a good look at media usage and linking. It's also easier for content designers to duplicate content now on microsites and on LocalGov Drupal core. We're well into sort of detailed discovery of simplifying media, making it easier to use, and paragraphs and service landing pages. So we know what we want to do in all of those, and we've made a start on a lot of that work. We've just not finished it yet. So what we'll be doing next year is we'll bring this mission to a halt. I'll talk about this a bit later, but there will be a knock-on effect for a while of the things that we've learned and things that we want to deliver. So it was all good. You know, we needed to take stock and deal with some of this older stuff. But I think what we want to do is sort of go more to a sort of ongoing work from here on in. So that's refresh. Oh dear, click the wrong thing. Can you still see my screen? Apologies.
Yep.
Accessibility. Maria, I think she's on the call. She gives her apologies. I'll go through this. But the accessibility group has done an amazing work baking accessibility into everything we do. So we now have, you know, proper community drop-ins, a governance group. We've audited everything up to 2.2. We fixed tons of stuff. Aaron, you're part of this group. I don't know if you want to talk to some of that. Or I'll keep going.
I mean, oh, it's just skipped back to, it's gone onto Microsites.
Sorry, my keyboard is playing up today. So I don't know if you just wanted to say a couple of words about accessibility.
I mean, just to say, I mean, not much to report. I mean, I guess one of the big things that happened last year was that we set up the accessibility governance group. So we meet monthly, and that's a cross section of the community. So people who are more involved and more interested in accessibility, and sort of particularly experts within councils. And that was making sure we had sort of real community involvement. And so a lot of that has been foundational building blocks of how we bake in accessibility. But the other thing was getting the VPAT, so getting a sort of accessibility, what is it, accreditation for the product, and having that process sort of more baked in. That's taken longer than planned. It's a bit more complicated. The product's always changing. There's questions of how to keep that work going. So it's a live conversation at the moment. So although we wanted to do it this year, it looks like that's going to be 2026. But I think there's a working approach that we're going to be exploring very soon.
Sorry for putting you on the spot, and also you talking to a completely different slide. Apologies for that.
That's all right.
We've totally practiced this, honest. And then Finn, you've been doing more of the Microsites work than me, so maybe you're best placed to talk about where our efforts have been spent this year.
And other people probably more than me too, but yeah, the Microsites mission, you know, continues to bubble away, and any time when we haven't been looking at Drupal.org or Drupal 11 upgrades or whatever, we've been focusing on Microsites, for which I'm pretty sure everyone knows, but Microsites is the separate distribution that allows you to manage all of your separate sites away from your main corporate site, all under one roof. Various improvements listed there, which you've probably read because it's been up on screen for a while. And people probably already know too. But the live preview to allow the design changes to be perceived in real time, thanks to Mark's amazing work on that, Mark Conroy. Mercury Editor, allowing your content edits to be edited in the front end theme and be seen in real time, and layout, very much kind of much more visual experience to content editing, and then various additional content formats coming in from LocalGov Drupal guides, step-by-step publications so far, and yeah, from response to requests in the community for these things. Other things in progress, LocalGov workflows, again, that's something that people have asked for, and increasing flexibility of web forms, things that are bubbling away. But we are still looking ahead to next year, and more Microsites things will be in flight, especially once we finish the other bits of foundational work this year.
Thanks, Finn. And 2026 wouldn't be, that says 2026 when we've actually been in 2025. So we're also time traveling in this deck, which is fantastic. So in 2025, we also did a ton of work with Netcall and those councils using Netcall. So 4 big integrations. So design carrying across from LocalGov Drupal into Netcall, forms data from LGD forms into Netcall cases, chatbots from Netcall appearing in LocalGov Drupal content. And a couple of weeks ago, Kev from Croydon did a prototype insight dashboard. So pulling in analytics data, user feedback, Liberty Create case data into LocalGov Drupal. So content designers can see, okay, well, how am I doing? You know, am I actually improving things or not? So that was all really good, nice package of work. And we'd like to do this with other suppliers, not just with Netcall. So if you have sort of any friendly suppliers, please do reach out to them, because this integration work really makes your life easier, and that's what we're here to do. On the community fund, we'll talk more about this later, but just blockbuster projects. The two biggest, I guess, was elections, which has just been finished. Funded this iteration was funded by Walsall and built by Rahalian. I'm not sure if they're on the call, but thank you. Allows multiple seats per ward, which wasn't something we could do before. And also PDF importer, which everybody here knows about, has been incredible. And there's a session coming up, and I'll sort of give you the details for that shortly. But it's been action packed. You know, it's been an amazing year. I think we've done a lot of good with the amount of money that we have. And we could just pause for a second, because that is a bit of a sort of lightning rush through all the work. Are there any questions about any of that? Is there anything in the chat, Aaron? Because I can't see it.
Nothing in the chat, just a celebratory bit of confetti from Stella.
Excellent. All right. Let's talk about this year, or this year to come. So right now, this is all proposals, like no decisions have been made. If you remember, same time last year, I brought a lot of ideas. This is really the start of the conversation about where we spend our time and money. So the rest of the session is, you know, please do say, let's definitely do this, let's not do this. And Aaron at the end has also got a little session where we can kind of get some voting going on. But what we're thinking right now, looking at the work and all of your conversations, all the conversations we've had on Slack, people coming up to me and saying, I think we should do more of this or less of this. This is my sort of brain dump to you to tell you what I think we should do. So refresh and accessibility, we think now there's a bit more than we wanted to do on refresh, but we think ultimately it needs to move in 2026. It needs to be a business as usual thing. Same with accessibility. Like, we want to keep looking at the product and making iterative, incremental improvements. So that's what we're going to do, rather than have, we think, missions that are dedicated to that. There's obviously a lot more to do on microsites, and there's a slide coming up in a second about what we think should be there. We want to do more on AI, even though it's, you know, there's a lot of hype around this. We think we can deliver some value to content designers, to all of you. We want to do more on search, and obviously we need to address local government reorganisation. So what we'll do now is go through each of these and talk about what we think the problem space is, where we think we should be spending our time, and what the work might be. So I think microsites is first. So maybe back to you, Finn, to run through this.
Goodness, yes. So there's various bits of work that are already in flight that I already mentioned. The first two are theirs. No, sorry, the second one actually is the content. No, it isn't. Sorry. Reread the slide. I filtered it down to yeah, four things that are actually not mentioned so far. But there are still bits of work that are ongoing, which is what I was trying to say, the local gov workflows and other pieces. But some potential big pieces of work for microsites. As we know, we can like point and click our way to a theme and a look and feel without any front end development in microsites, which is great, but it still takes time. And there's this concept of being able to import and export the themes so that you could have a lovely theme, export it, pass it on to another council. They could take that and use that, you know, for their park or collaboration or whatever, and, you know, potentially save a lot of time. There is an issue for that linked there. It's a possible bit of work, probably quite a lot of work, maybe not as much as we think. But would that be valuable to people? I'd love to know. Content publishing workflows, that is what I mentioned before. Sorry, the LocalGov workflow. So that's, you know, draft stays live, published. At the moment, that doesn't work in microsites. It's a little bit complicated with permissions, so yeah, a bunch of work around that if that is what people want. So far, I've heard at least one council definitely wants it, and then other councils are like, no, we don't really need that. So again, trying to find what's most valuable for people would be good. Content staging and deployment between environments. So within you know, standard LocalGov Drupal website, you can install workspaces and have a staging environment to prepare all of your content changes for a whole section and then publish the whole lot in one go. Would this be something that we want in microsites? You know, don't want to introduce complexity where it's not needed, but that has been mentioned by at least one person. And then hosting and deployment. This is always a challenge with any system, but even more so with microsites because you have multiple domains pointing at the same Drupal installation. So better support for that, better documentation, better examples. How can we as a central community like help everybody's individual situation with setting up microsites. And is that indeed still a blocker? So these are ideas that have come out of our discussions with the microsites, but would love people's input on if any of those or other things are important for microsites in the coming year.
And I think, thanks, Finn. And I think microsites as a whole, like we spent quite a lot of time on it, and we think we need to spend more. Like we think this is a valuable thing that everybody can use. So, this
And
against other things that we might spend our time on, that would be good to talk about as well.
I
Sorry,
suppose
Finn.
it's just occurred to me that there's probably more microsites out there now than LocalGov Drupal websites, like in total, because obviously you can have tens or hundreds on a single installation. But yeah, the list of microsites out there is growing, and they're increasingly diverse, and so that's good to see the success and the usage of microsites.
Yeah. I think this next one is you as well. So you're sort of search flavored.
I'm very search flavored. I love searching. I haven't found it yet, but still looking. So yeah, search is a big one. We know then, and I think there's rarely kind of one solution that works for everybody, but as we go into LGR and as we go into an AI-driven world, and search is increasingly important. So how can we? I like the how might we statement that Will wrote. Have best of breed search tools for our community and LocalGov Drupal. So possible work, maybe making it easier to build search that can crawl multiple sites. We know with local government reorganization, people are going to go from many sites to one. There's our transition period there. How can we use search to help with that process? Other things like did you mean and best bets that kind of come out of Solar search, making it easy to promote bits of content or correct people's searches for what we think they might mean, possibly with AI, some help there, including with like facets, filters, or the rest of it, plus AI augmented search results, which we're increasingly used to in Google and other places. How could we bring those in to make it easier for councils to make use of that? Further to that, acknowledging that there isn't a single solution, like extending the LocalGov search modules, example configurations, making it easy for people to spin up and try a thing maybe before they implement it on their own live environments. So yeah, possible ideas around search as a holistic mission.
Thank you. Thanks, Finn. Because we're aware that a lot of people either have done work on Solar, which is one of the technologies that Finn mentioned, but also a lot of people are buying search still. And we think actually some of the money that you're spending could actually go into a community-driven solution and actually do deliver more value for you and for everyone. So, we really want to explore this space with your blessing. So in a second, let us know what you think about that. I'm going to go slightly fast, Aaron, because I'm wondering about time. So tell me if I need to. There's definitely a proposal here about AI for content designs for all of you, for our principal users, I guess. And what we want to do is support the quality work you're already doing. Like you're working every day to deliver better quality content, and you're being undermined by Gemini summaries and other things. So we really want to understand this better. And our mission here as well is to remove the grind from your day. We're trying to make your lives easier, do more with the little time that you already have. So we think there's a few things perhaps going on here. So our best thoughts right now are around, you all have GovUK has like a content design principles or a style guide, and you do too. And we're thinking actually, could AI read one of these things and say, okay, in a piece of content that's submitted to you from a service, here's the things that should change. You could actually say that to have it say it directly to a service if you're comfortable doing that. But to say, actually, here are some things that changes should be made in order for this thing to be compliant with your style guide, we think that's quite a powerful idea and we want to explore it some more. At times where you need another pair of eyes, I mean, I imagine a lot of you are running sort of 2-eye type operations now. You could have AI provide a supplementary pair of eyes. We think AI has got possibilities ranking content from lots of council sites. There's a session coming up about this I'll point to in a second. That's definitely interesting, worth a look. We're wondering whether AI could actually do some of the bulk actions that you do already. So, for example, there may be loads of duplicates in your media library. Could AI hunt these things down so you don't have to? So, there's lots of areas to explore. We think we'll start with the content guidelines, the style guide stuff, but we want to spend a bit of time on this and really understand it and kind of counter the hype that you're getting in your councils. Like, I imagine this stuff's being sold to death. We actually want to give you something that's useful. I wanted to introduce Paul Johnson, who's MD at 1x Internet, and you're part of the AI team, Drupal AI team, Paul, because we want to do more work with you. We're already working with you a bit, but we think there's more opportunities there. So I don't know if you wanted to say a few words.
Yeah, thanks, Will. I mean, I was very inspired by some of the work that Southwark have been doing with AI, and I was already interested in perhaps opening a conversation with LocalGov Drupal. So I'm from the AI initiative, which is an official initiative of the Drupal project, and it's designed to accelerate innovation in Drupal AI. That's aligned to the needs of end users, so organizations like yourselves. It comprises 22 companies, and we're all called AI makers, and we've all contributed both money and time, which is equivalent value of $1 million over the next 6 months. And we're all working towards a collective goal for the good of Drupal. So it's very similar to the model that LocalGov Drupal has, and also in the funding as well. In fact, some of the funders are end users. And we're all about responsible AI, ensuring that you have sovereignty over your data and that there's always a human in the loop. And we're making sure that you have freedom to choose AI providers and also your hosting infrastructure. And the idea is to deliver ready to deploy solutions. So you don't need to have all the expertise yourselves. We've already completed market research with over 200 end users. I think possibly some of you have participated in that. And we've met with Will and Finn and spoken about some of the possible uses of AI within this context. And we think there's a great intersection with some of the features that of your missions that others have communicated need for. So some of the things we talked about, as Will's mentioned, is about delivering a really good citizen experience through effective use of search and introducing context to search rather than just using basic keywords, and potentially that it would be compatible with Solr. And maybe introducing a chatbot interface to search so that we can capture information that way, which is good for accessibility, but also for usability. And it's also pertinent to the LocalGov reorganisation, where you've perhaps got a fragmented estate of sites and how the search could search across all of those sites really well. And also, Will's mentioned about the alignment to the government style guide and how AI might be able to support your work with there, which is quite time consuming. And also you have your own style guide as a council and how we can perhaps use AI, train an agent to be able to learn what that looks like and kind of underpin your work so that production of content is faster, and also detecting objects in images and describing them for accessibility. And this could all be done on your own owned infrastructure. And it might sound expensive, but we have got potential funding areas through R&D budgets and also support from the AI makers. So we're very excited to be able to potentially bring AI to quite a large number of end users.
Nice one. Thank you, Paul, for coming in and talking at short notice as well. We really appreciate it. So we're looking forward to cracking on with this. And it's good that, you know, because we're part of the Drupal community, there are loads of great companies and organizations and people around the world that we can tap into. We don't have to do all this like in our basements, in our bedrooms. Like there's people all over the world doing it. So thanks, Paul, for coming along. Last one, nicely segued actually into LGR, so LocalGov Reorganisation. And I don't know if councils on the call are going through this, but I think about a third of England will be, and lots of them are our users as well. So just in terms of timescale, so I think Surrey, there's an election in Surrey in May next year, and then live councils, East and West Surrey, will arrive a year after that. So and a second wave will be a year further on. So we don't have to do stuff like immediately, but we do need to start thinking about what needs are. So we've already started conversations with councils in Surrey, some of our subscribers, and some of the DPP, it's Devolution Priority Programme councils, love the acronym. We're talking to them as well. And we think there's some sort of key things here. Search has already been mentioned. It could make sense of landscape, of sort of fractured landscape of post LGR sites. We think there's something around directing citizens to content that's based on their location. There are already prototypes out there in the community that do this, so we want to explore those in a bit more detail. We think there's ways of sharing branding. So if you've got a load of sites you want to rebrand quickly, here's the style guide, make it really easy. Or could LGD sites inherit from other ones? You know, is that a possibility that we could look at? And then I think finally migration from specific other CMSs. Like we want to understand if the Surrey councils do choose us, who do we need to migrate from? If the DPP councils do, who do we need to migrate from? So we're going to dig into this some more. If you're in LGR, if you're about to go through this, please do come and talk to us about what you need, how we could help. We're almost done. So all the work I've showed you to now is work that the core fund, the money that you pay through subscriptions, could fund. But there's also the community fund as well. This is where councils decide that they need more things and they'll fund this work independently of us, but obviously we support. So there's quite a few things that we could help with or promote. Consultations have been mentioned a lot in the last year. Do we want to do something there? Or councillor meetings as a product I won't name, but a lot of you use it and I don't think you particularly care for it. Like, should we be looking in that area? Elections and the single transferable vote, like as mayoral authorities appear, STV is the system I think will be used, provided the legislation goes through. We need to build something for that. We've already got a prototype of Insight dashboard thanks to Croydon. Do we want to do more work there? We've spent a lot of time with open referral. There's a session tomorrow. I'll flag these sessions in a second, which is a data sharing standard for sort of community services. Do we want to do more work on that? PDF importer, you know all about. I'm sure there'll be more projects there. What are those projects? And waste collection is another thing. In fact, I'll click on, because there are events about quite a few of these during the week. So PDF is straight after this, in fact. So please do come along if you're interested. There's an AI session around sort of 400 AI insights from 400 websites. That's tomorrow. Open referral is Thursday. The waste collection module, which I haven't seen, but I hear really good things about it, is Friday. These are all could be potential community funded projects. We could spend more time on them if they're going to deliver value to you. So if you know what those are, go to those sessions or just drop us a line and we'll send you more information about them. But there's tons and tons of opportunity here. And there are probably community fund projects that we haven't even thought of yet. So if there's something you're particularly interested, do shout, and we'll do our best to help you. So I think probably the headline here, there's an enormous amount of work that we could do, and it's certainly the mission slides I think we'll be able to deliver most of that with the budget that we have, but we aren't going to be able to get to everything. We're a small part-time team supported by a lot of contribution, obviously. So what we're really interested in of all of this, what is the most important things? What are the most important things? Please tell us. And if there's something that we've missed, tell us. So Aaron, I think you've got a little exercise. Do you want me to stop sharing my screen?
If you could just keep chatting and just maybe we'll go for questions.
Okay.
Mentor is just asking me to log in, which is really annoying.
Okay. Yeah, no worries. Are there questions I can't see the chat, so are there questions in the chat that we could talk about?
I can see the chat. No, I just asked a question.
What was you can ask it out loud, Finn.
I'll just back to the AI thing that Paul mentioned, the kind of the potential for sort of potential for self-hosted AI models or data sovereignty, UK hosted, like you're in control of where the data's going. And I just wondered like how important that is to councils, because it's not something I've heard anybody from a council actually raise as a going concern. Sometimes when I ask it, they're like, "Oh yeah, no, that is." But I'm just wondered from those on the call if that's something that people care about, people don't care about, or has even been discussed. But maybe not for now, maybe for another time. If there is anyone who's got anything, then it'd be interesting to hear.
Are you logged in, Aaron?
I'm logged in. I was going to say Finn has just posted that in the chat, and what you can do is just simply click on the thumbs up that Dan has already started for us, and that's a simple way of voting if you care about it. You could also do a thumbs down if you don't care about it. Before we go into the Mentimeter, there was a question from Simon at Gloucester. He said the content 2i sounds interesting. If we can feed in our own style guides and examples to learn from, how would this work from a licensing issue? He said sounds like it's being discussed, but just want to bring that up.
Well, the AI work that's done so far I think certainly in PDF Importer, it's built on Drupal AI, and then you can pick the AI that you've got a license for. Is that right? Maybe Paul knows, or if anyone from the PDF Importer team is here.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah. So we're not saying if you want to go and use, you have to use Bedrock for this, for example. You could basically do the integration with the AI you already have. Was that what you're asking, Simon, or was it something else?
That's what Simon was asking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hopefully
Yeah.
that's answered. But
Yeah,
I think almost it's
I don't know.
we can start. No, sorry, go for it, Paul.
Yeah, I was trying to work out to raise my hand. So if we were to proceed with any of these ideas, and we really need to co-design these concepts, they would be designed and developed in a way that would be agnostic of AI provider, so that you could use the provider you already have a license for. And any code that we produce would be open sourced, so that you could take it and adapt it yourselves. So from the AI initiative perspective, we're looking to drive adoption. We're not looking to limit it by putting any licensing constraints in.
Yeah, thanks, Paul. Are there more questions in the chat, or should we switch to? I can't see the chat on my screen.
We can switch, and so I can stop your sharing. We'll have the power. Okay, so we're just opening up Mentimeter in Zoom. We've done this a few times in community meetups recently. You should have some sort of pop-up or notification in Zoom, which you can then just click onto. I can see people joining. 6 so far. We've got 63 on the call. So what was particularly interested in hearing from councils? Also, if you're here from a supplier, and you're directly talking to other councils as well, so you may have some thoughts on this as well. Will, I'm not going to talk to the questions, but do you want to just?
No, I can go.
Yeah.
I can go through these. So we have a limited amount of time, obviously. Where should we spend it? So we're interested in the benefit to you. So of AI for content designers, search, microsites, LGR. Please tell us. Isn't this exciting?
Yeah.
See live data. It's so fun. I feel like a game show host. Please tell us what is most important to you. Can we see where how many people have gone, Aaron? Because then we can move on.
Bottom right, can you see the number in the bottom right saying 20?
23.
33 have joined, and 24 out of 33 25 have voted so far. Yeah.
So it'd be good just briefly, if you're using search now, could you just write in the chat what you're using? Just if it's like Cluedo, or it's like a flavor of Google, or it's a whatever, that would be really interesting to. Or just out of the box LocalGov Drupal, that would be really interesting to know.
Aaron,
just to get.
Yeah. Sorry, Will. I thought you'd paused. I thought you'd finished. Aaron, there's a few people that can't access Mentimeter. Is there a second way that people can log in?
Sorry. Yeah. Sorry to Kate and Andy. Let me just grab. It may well be an issue with the Mentimeter, or if you don't have the Zoom app, it might not be that. Maybe something to do with your browser or something.
I think there's a link you can go to and do it as well.
Yeah, so I've just shared the link to participate.
So we'll just hang on for a couple more minutes for this.
And if you can't and you're struggling, like, you can just drop your vote into the chat. That's also fine.
Yeah, because it is interesting, because I know I can see people have written Cluedo. I think there may be folks from Essex who I work with. So there's quite a lot of stuff being bought. And I know that there are frustrations about some of these things. They don't quite do what you want them to do. So it's sort of trying to understand that a bit better. And then we know that I don't have a full and complete list, but every so often I hear another council saying, oh, we've done solar for LocalGov Drupal. So it's trying to understand who they all are. And I know some suppliers like Anatech, there might be others, kind of do solar by default. Like that's what they do. So again, I think it's a conversation. If you're a supplier that does that you're not Anatech, please do just say, and we do Anatech, we do solar too. That would be really useful to know. Because I think it's increasingly becoming the default for people. We've held back from search and doing very much on it because we've known that people have been wanting to build their own or buy their own. But I think we just get to a point where we just need to say, okay, this is more standard now. This is what we're going to go for. Do you want to say anything more about microsites? Because there were some things, there were specific things within microsites, Finn. I don't think we'll change the slides, but maybe you could just ask about that because we've got a couple of minutes.
I guess the question, yeah, my question was kind of like just within microsites. I mean, it looks like microsites has got some popularity from the Mentimeter, but within that, what's the most valuable, next pieces of work, next features or improvements or support? Be kind of keen to know. I know some people have like a sort of hit list of features in microsites, and that's where some of this has come out of the recent microsites drop-ins. But yeah, if microsites is a hot topic for people, then what specifically within that would help?
You might not be able to remember the 4 things that Finn said, so
we'll share these.
We'll share these slides afterwards. So just to my question to suppliers, there's a lot of sort of solar by default. So at Rahalian, at Big Blue Door, although that they do other technologies, Agile Collective use solar and so on. So it's well established. I think we need to do more on it. Should we move on? Because I know time is pressing. There were some community fund projects we mentioned, probably too many. Please tell us which of these are of benefit to you, if you could rank those as well. So consultations, councillor governance and meeting management, elections, insights, open referral, PDF importer, waste collections. If you don't need them, don't rank them. Just rank the ones that you think are useful.
Yeah, I don't know if you have to rank all of them or not.
Okay.
I haven't tried out, but I wondered, because open referral is probably the least immediately understandable. Will, what is it? What's it for?
So there's a session tomorrow. No, is it tomorrow or the day after? So it's a data standard for community services. So and it was a local digital fund project. They created this standard. So the idea is, if you are, let's say you're in a London borough and you want to access services from the borough you're in and the one next door, services would be described in a standard way and councils will be able to share information. So I think Greenwich might be on the call. They've used open referral quite extensively, but it's not been used a lot in our wider sort of user base. So we're thinking there might be something in this. It means you don't necessarily, as a council, you don't necessarily need to keep all the information that you know about up to date, because maybe next door will do it for you, or maybe your health trust would do it for you. You can do a deal with them to kind of do that work. So we think it's interesting. The problem with it is it doesn't necessarily there's not a big installed user base right now, so there's not a lot of data out here. So actually getting started is a problem. But I'm talking it down now, it's gone down from 2 to 6. It's not very helpful, is it?
I mean,
really
I think
useful.
It's also, we're really well placed. We've done a bunch of work on it already. We have the open referral module, which alongside LocalGov directories, if you enable it, will just start publishing directory data in an open referral compliant standard data feed. Once we have enough critical mass of people publishing feeds, there's a little bit of configuration needed to map certain fields to make sure it's correct. Once we have those published, then we can look at consuming those and having sort of aggregated search of neighboring councils. Maybe something we could do as a community is have one single demo site which has all of our councils' services aggregated and allow you to search across the UK and filter by region or some such.
Yeah. Okay, this is really helpful. Thank you. I like how insights is number 2, because I've always I've got a soft spot for all of these projects, but that one particularly, like, I think having more data in LocalGov Drupal is a really useful thing for content designers. So we'll see if we can progress that. We'll see if we can progress all of these. Okay, last one. I think one more question. So we might not have mentioned something that's really bugging you. We might have mentioned a particular thing in this presentation that we really think we should focus on. So can you write in pre-text stuff that we should be spending time on? Or you could go, this is all correct. Just do the things. That is also fine. I love it. I hate it. Whatever you like.
While we're waiting for, hopefully we'll get some feedback. Maria at Bracknell Forest said that they don't have any microsites. One thing holding them back is that not all paragraph types are available. Although she knows this is planning to be added. And content types, I think. So for example, if we moved our fostering site to a microsite, we would definitely need access to our events content type.
Yeah. I wonder if that, because events is going through a bit of a rework anyway that we've not mentioned in this presentation. So maybe we just need to consider that as well. Does anyone want to write something? Because otherwise we're going to stare at. Oh, excellent. I agree with the rank order of the community fund. Missions should be aligned to these two. Who wrote that? Or does somebody want to kind of flesh that out a bit?
It was Justine. Is it Justine?
Justine?
Yeah, I just tried to get that ball rolling. I think some of the community fund projects don't get rolling, like don't get started very quickly because like funding is a bit hard, or like just the core team isn't as involved. And I know that's kind of the point, but also maybe we need to just be a little bit closer in our ecospheres to ensure that things get done and like get promoted in certain ways.
Yeah.
There we go.
It's I agree. I mean, it's just hard to do all the things.
There's a lot of plates spinning. Yeah.
it is. Yeah, but I think almost it's, you know, if one of these community fund things was bigger than, say, I don't know, one of the missions, we'd swap them. You know, if anyone thinks there's something that's a community fund thing that we should actually just do, then please do say. Somebody wrote AI uptake within Teams. Do you want to talk about that? Whoever wrote that? Is it general use of AI tools or the AI stuff that we were proposing? Don't know. Maybe post in the chat, or if you want to come on camera, you're welcome. Finders wasn't mentioned today at all. It's a bit tricky. It's a big piece of architectural work that we want to do, but it's kind of hit a bit of a wall because there's some stuff with finders and events that we want to better understand and iron out. So I deliberately didn't mention it today. We want to kind of get our heads around that a bit more, but we haven't forgotten it. It's something I want to revisit. I just don't want to impose it on you all without us having thought about it first. That's why it's not here.
I think that falls into Justine's category with the core team review and working more closely on it.
Yeah. So so it's the Finders stuff with people going, what's Finders? It started as an event upgrade. So originally events were sort of single channel. You could have one list of events, and it didn't matter whether they were community events or environmental events or young people events or what. It was one list. You couldn't separate them out into different channels or lists. So we said, okay, we're going to rebuild this with that in mind, and that's where architecting it and kind of Finders are sort of like the core things that events would do, but we've sort of pulled it out as its own thing because we can reuse it. We explained that so well. So let's not get into that today. It's probably a bit of too much detail for this session, but we are working on it. Is there any more thoughts from anyone? Have we hit the target with these proposals? What do people think? Is it the right stuff?
So I think we'll move to wrap up because we're 5 minutes over, which is not the best way to start LocalGov Drupal week. No need to apologise. So, and it's interesting, one person said, you know, I'll have more to say on this after this week. We've got one more community meetup in December, and maybe we'll make a little bit of space in there just to have some reflections on various things, but one of which could be the missions ahead of 26.
I mean, this time last year, I think we did exactly that, Aaron. So enjoy this week. There's loads of really good sessions. If you've got any questions about any of this, just come back to us, watch all the sessions. come to the community event and tell us what you think.
Yeah, brilliant. Okay. Lovely. What I'm going to do is stop Mentimeter for now and say big thank you to Will and Finn for the session. Thank you. That was a great way to start. And also thanks to Paul and did anybody else speak? A couple of people, but thank you, Paul,
Tony.
for sharing. And Tony, yes, thank you, Tony. Thank you everyone for coming. I hope you found it useful. Please give us some feedback via an email. You should get an email probably around about now. And thank you again to our sponsors, Agile Collective, Anatech, and Big Blue Door.